is buffer time? What is buffer time? Is what buffer time?
Welcome back, Buffer Timers. It's been a little over a month, and we have some new Star Trek. Gonna be pretty great. Sorry we're a couple of minutes late with you. I don't know what happened to Robbie, but he should be back here any second. All right, well, before we get into some new Strange New Worlds, let's introduce ourselves clockwise. I'm Dustin from Best of Trek.
I'm Ren from Ren Rants, and sorry in advance for any background noise. My roof is being re-shingled.
Hello, I'm Shereese, the Sci-Fi Savage, on all the socials and on YouTube.
I am Dell, and you can't find me anywhere.
Dun dun dun.
If I can't see you, you can't see me. I'm Josh from Wind Crace with a Q for no reason.
And saving the best for last, I'm Conversations with Robbie Sherman, the Robbie Sherman of Conversations with Robbie Sherman, to be more specific. I am the show, but I'm not the show.
I'm going to call you the Robbie Sherman the entire rest of the show.
Okay. Look what a hole I've dug myself into already, everybody. Enjoy the show. Let's get going.
We can't hear you, Dustin.
You've gone mute.
We've got
But
two
you're still
episodes to
Android.
talk about today, and glad you can hear me now. I think the second one is going to take up a lot more of the stream than the first. We're going to try to keep this to an hour and a half. If we get to 45 minutes on either one, we are going to tap out. So, Hegemony, Part 2. Why didn't they save Hemmer with a similar amount of effort as Batel?
Because they're dicks. The plot, the writers, dicks.
With Hammer.
So here's the thing, too. Yes, like we could all use more Hammer. I will agree with that. And the thing that just gets me is that I was so rooting from Benga's daughter in season 1. I was like, they're going to find something. There's going to be a cure. There's going to be a fix. They're going to like go to the ends of the earth because look, Mbenga's been having her in this stasis transporter field for I don't know how long. They didn't say how long, but we assume it's been a hot minute. So I'm like, oh, this is, I can't wait for this surprising thing they're going to do when they finally save her. And I mean, the ending of her story was very sweet, but we didn't get that. And so I guess so. And so it just felt like kind of like, I was so much more invested in that character that we literally saw like twice.
Yeah.
I was so much more invested in that character than in this character. Like, yeah, I don't want her to be exploded with Gorn babies, but like if she does, it happens. You know what I mean?
I think it's worth pointing out that it was Christine who was treating Patel, and it was Mbenga who was treating these other patients. I'm not saying one is better, different, wackier than the other, but I do think it's worth noting that they've really been building this duality to Christine, where she's kind of the fuck you, I'm going off and marrying some guy, and I'm going to break up with you in the middle of a happy song. But also that she has some depth and caring and emotional. I keep coming up with the word depth. And I think maybe that was part of it, because I think it's really just Christine and Spock who's working on Patel. We don't see Mbenga kind of being a part of that. So I'm wondering if that's not part of it too.
Yeah, and this is why in Shereese's recent stream, where we ranked the best medical officers, I think we pretty much agreed that Chapel is a little bit better than Mbenga in most of the categories. If you haven't seen that, go check out her channel. She does some great stuff every Wednesday, and sometimes some of the rest of us are on it.
Well, also, it's worth noting that Batel didn't just kind of walk herself off the ship and jump off a cliff. So.
Yeah, I guess Hemmer was a little premature with that. It's kind of weird that they didn't like have the means to do stasis or suggest stasis. Like, you'd think they would have had like a med kit with like the little stasis injectable or whatever prior to dealing with the Gorn. I don't know.
Or something.
Who's allergic of cold? Who is allergic of cold?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, so they're giving you a serum to make you cold. How are you allergic to cold?
Also, how do they not have the means to treat an allergic reaction?
I know there's no epinephrine nearby that they can just, you know.
It's also the
Yeah.
distant future. You'd think they'd have some sophisticated thing they could do.
Yeah, I don't think it's just that they're making him cold. I think there's very specific chemicals involved, and
Yeah.
she's probably allergic to whatever chemical they're going to use to induce that crying.
Yeah, they were injecting her with the chemical that would allow her to go into stasis. So some kind of preserving agent. And so she was allergic to that exact thing that she needed in order to go into stasis. So their big plan of like, let's just, because stasis is not sleep. It's like cryogenically being frozen. It's like pausing all cell development. So if they couldn't do that, then they couldn't do their big plan, and they had to figure out something else to keep all the Gorn babies from bursting out of her.
Yeah, I
Gross.
just feel like the reason was kind of flimsy because I don't know. You'd think they'd have like more than one stasis drug too. Like I don't know.
I mean, I also felt like, why didn't they just pop her in the transporter? Didn't we already discover
the
that's the
transporter
thing?
buffer.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I was like,
none
I
of
don't.
the characters
I think
involved in
Mbenga
that were
wasn't there.
around. Mbenga was gone, and Una was busy coming up with every solution on the bridge.
That was
But
my
Scotty
thing. I was like,
hasn't
okay,
stolen
stasis
the
doesn't work.
idea yet.
Transport her, put her in the buffer, pull her back out later.
helpful.
Yes, Mitchell
Mitchell got to be
was
a
my
character for 2
MVP. Actually,
seconds. It was nice. I'm so sorry. What were you saying, Shereese? I interrupted you.
I was just reiterating what I just said, that they could have just put her in the transporter buffer. We didn't need to have this ticking clock situation for any reason. Also, I just really didn't feel, and maybe it's just me because I'm like bitter or jealous or something, but I just did not feel this like connection to her where I was like, we've got to do whatever it takes. I mean, not that I wanted her to explode, but I wasn't there emotionally in the show when they were like, we've got to figure it out, Spock. We've got to figure it out, Chapel. We've only got 10. Like, I just wasn't there with them.
Yeah.
The same way I was with all the Gorn stuff, where I was like, oh my gosh, like you guys have to figure it out. Like, there's going to be an invasion. Earth is going to be flattened. The Starfleet's not ready. Like, what are you guys going to possibly do against all these millions of ships? Like, that was really, I felt really invested in that. And I don't have a lot of history with the Gorn, but I felt really invested with that storyline. And this other thing, I was kind of like, casualties.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of meh on Patel. Like, she's fine. I don't hate her or anything. She's fine, but she's just kind of there. I was anxious the entire time Ortegas was bleeding all over the console because I was just like, they've underutilized her so hard. Are they going to kill her? I would be so mad.
Even before she bled out, when she was like shivved, it was like, oh my gosh, like they couldn't they have just done, I mean, I'm thinking of like all the times when they slice people with a bat left and they're just like, or they're like, oh, and they just like hold their side or whatever. But this was like visceral and like you could feel it and you could hear it. And it was just like so heartbreaking. And then when she's like, put me up there, I fly the ship. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope they do not get rid of this character like this, because this is like some Icheb level nonsense to get rid of her like this. Thankfully they did it. But yeah, that was 1,000 times more.
So much more interesting.
And interesting. Yeah. And I was really like, what's going to happen next? Like, I hope they save her. I didn't have I hope they save her.
Wasn't on
Honestly, I almost hope they
card.
didn't, just because that would mean less reasons for Pike to be on my screen ever again.
Fair.
Can you imagine if you were Ortegas, though, and you're waiting around for 2.5 years to film the finale just to be like, and that's it for you. See you later.
It'd be memorable. That's for sure. It'd be just as memorable as Himmer. You'd be like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah, Norman, too bad Vanessa's not here. I think you two agree on that. Like, I think Patel's fine. I don't mind her at all.
Christine and Scott were more interested in saving and caring for the Gorn babies in the end. So I think even they may have been like, Gorn babies, Patel, Gorn babies, Patel.
Can I just say, all the relationship stuff with Pike, it's just so Hallmark nonsense. Like, I kind of hate it. Like, I kind of hate having to listen to them make sweet nothings with each other. Like, I mean, I don't, it's not that I don't want people to have relationships. It's not that I don't want people to work out their problems as adults. Just listening to the way they talk to each other, like, it doesn't feel like real adults talking to each other. It just feels so cutesy and annoying. Like, it just feels bad to me. I just think it's bad. I'm sorry.
The only time I liked them was in the Una episode when there was conflict, right? Because it's how do they communicate with each other? How do they handle this? Because conflict is what makes a story interesting. Sweet Nothings is all well and good for Valentine's Day. It's all well and good for date night. it's not necessarily good enough for being
Okay.
on screen or in a book,
I wanna-
right? You're just like,
Yeah.
okay, and then they
fine,
nibble
it's
each other's
not
ears. That's cute.
I want
It's not
to
interesting.
make a nod. I
Sorry.
want to make a non-Trek example. Peter Parker is only interesting when he has conflict. Okay, when he has conflict in his personal life, when he has conflict as Spider-Man, Spider-Man interfering with his personal life. That's what makes him an interesting character, because he's down to earth and he has actual conflict to deal with as a human being. And I don't feel like these people are even in a human relationship sometimes. Like, it feels very staged. Like, they don't feel like they have chemistry in the way I want a couple in these scenarios to have.
Yeah, Robbie, I don't think you've been paying attention to the meaning of Strange New Worlds, and it's that everybody gets a love interest and nobody gets to be happy.
Strange new headaches, more like it. Goddammit, I'm sick of that crap.
Strange new exes.
Strange new couples.
Well,
That's
we're
what I
gonna
kind
have
of felt
some
like.
new ones soon.
Yeah, that's I felt like. Yeah, that's what I felt like part 2 was. It was just strange new couples. It was like, okay, the couples episode. But episode 1, I did truly enjoy. Like, I'm harping a lot on Battelle and how little I cared whether or not Gorn exploded from her, but I did really enjoy the episode. It was so satisfying. I did not think they were going to do that much for that episode. I thought they were going to kind of like quickly wrap it up and then have a second story, but they like dragged out, like, here's what it's like on the ship, and here's like, they just kept going with that, and I was like, oh, like, I was pleasantly surprised by how much stuff they did. And sure, they could have done more stuff with the Gorn / not. How did they escape the Gorn? There could have been a little more with the Gorn, but I thought it was very satisfying for a part 2 in a surprising way.
Yeah, my biggest gripe is probably just the amount of time they spent on Battelle could have been spent on the away team's storyline on the Gorn digestion ship, because that was so freaking cool conceptually, and I loved the set design for that and all the practical effects, but I feel like we barely got to see it because we kept having to go back to Spock and Chapel's Grey's Anatomy relationship drama over Battelle.
Yeah, when
Well, that's
Ortega's had like half her arm melted.
Oh
I
my
was
god,
like,
she got so mangled!
I was like, oh my gosh, they're being digested right now? Like, it was crazy.
She's not going to need that to fly the ship. So let's use that as a chance to move. Go ahead, Robbie.
I just wanted to say, like, both times I watched that, I was at once shocked and I couldn't help but laugh at how fucking intense that was. Awesome. I loved that moment. I felt bad for Ortegas, of course, but just the matter that they went to that extreme was very surprising for the show.
Well, right up until we weren't sure if her last words were going to be, "I'm Erica Ortegas and I fly the ship." Wasn't that the greatest use of a line again?
I was so bad. I was rolling my eyes. I was like, are you kidding me? This better not be it.
Not good.
That's
When
all
they
I
did it
have to say.
once, it wasn't great, but like I can get it. But when you do it twice now, it just makes the character seem unintelligent, and I hate it.
Yeah.
It reminded me of bad Futurama writing. Like, when they failed to get the melodrama right and they like just repeat what they're doing before, that's what it reminded me of.
See, I misunderstood it when it happened the first time because I was looking away and I had just assumed it was a flashback.
Oh no!
Like, I looked away and I heard it. I'm like, oh, she must be reliving like important moments from her life. And I looked up. I'm like, oh no, she's just saying it again.
It was delivered exactly the same way.
You know what? I actually didn't mind it. I didn't mind her saying that line again. I was so captivated by like the blood filling the console slowly, where you're just like, she's losing a lot, guys. You only have so much in the whole body, and her body's not that big. She's losing a lot of blood volume. So I wasn't irritated by that line at all. I was just more concerned that maybe this was going to she's Ortegas. Exactly. I was just more concerned that maybe like this is going to be the end of this character, which means we would get another pilot who I don't know if I would like. So I'm glad they didn't do that.
I agree about the blood. I like the blood. I mean, we need to keep the blood in Trek. It's good and healthy for us all around. I agree.
Make Trek
I didn't
money
say I
again.
liked the blood. I said I was captivated by the scene and hope she didn't pass away. But okay.
I didn't want her to pass away, but I'm just saying. I think the violence is a healthy expression.
I am
Sulu
good if I
cannot be
never see
Helm.
another half-digested hand in my life, though.
Oh,
Did you
gonna
guys
say that.
notice that there was steam coming off of them? Did you guys notice
yes.
that? There was steam coming off of the
Really
characters as they walked around the digestive. I
Digestive
was like,
juices.
Awesome.
yeah, it was like the acid that was like burning their
Yeah.
clothes or whatever. I think that's what they were going for. And I just thought that was brilliant. And then they showed the corpse in the little thing and like half the face was gone. It was like, and then of course one character had to say, "We're being digested," in case you missed it from all the context clues.
They're doing that for shows and movies now, like on purpose, because of people half watching them. And listen, I half watch movies and TV shows sometimes too, but you get punished for that by missing things. That's the rule.
My least favorite is when they show flashbacks to within the same episode. Like 5 minutes ago, this happened.
Go, Del.
Oh, I was going to say, can we maybe make this conversation shorter? Because that scene made me throw up. But then everyone kept going, so fuck me.
I'm so sorry.
All right. Well,
That's why I was
been-
doing this. I was like, maybe we could just say that was gross and move on.
I was trying to move on 6 minutes ago, but I mean, we had to get the pilots.
I know.
The pilot seat is her realm. Technically, that was the third time that said that because that was her only thing that we learned in the freaking musical.
Yeah.
The pilot seat is her realm. That was her one freaking line in the musical.
I feel like we learned more
Anyway.
about her in the fairy tale episode than anything else.
We learned more about Mitchell too. Like Mitchell got more to do in that fairy tale in the Elysian Kingdom. She's pretty good in that. So, was this a good use of the Gorn, assuming this is the end of their Strange New Worlds arc, and that is an assumption given what we know at the end of the next one?
I think it's Strange New Worlds Borg.
Yes.
Oh.
Makes
I don't
sense.
like
They
that.
use the same way to beat them as the Borg.
I felt like we were done with them. I'd like to be done with them. That's
Yeah.
what I thought they were trying to say. Like, and if we ever see them again, because Pike has that sentence where he says, "I think we've just made them some future person's problem or something like that."
Which
Yeah.
has a very direct call out to, and then they won't show up again until the episode in TOS where they show up again.
I swear to God, if they show up in
Arena.
Academy, I will be mad. I liked it actually. I thought the like various celestial elements around the Gorn were really cool. Like I liked the weird like gravity well between the two stars to like get to their planets, and the like automatic cloaking and like the adaptability of all of it for them. Like that was really interesting. And they did set up like the solar flares being related to the Gorn previously, so I thought that was like a nice extension that like closes it off narratively in a way that's set up and makes sense, and also like gets rid of them for now. Because they're fun, they're interesting, but I'm ready to move on before they become completely overplayed and unbearable. I want some strange new worlds, please. But that one was pretty strange.
Yeah, Norman hits on something we've kind of talked about behind the scenes here this week. That this kind of reminds us of the end of Best of Both Worlds. Oh yeah, that was actually our next way. Is this just a reused Best of Both Worlds solution?
I feel like, in a way, Strange New Worlds has been taking all of these swings at different genres, and I'm kind of done with them doing horror now.
Yeah.
So I feel like, in the same way, it's a matter of if you're going to give us a smorgasbord of different genres, then maybe don't stick to one for too long. That's my thought.
Or if they're going to do multiple horror, doesn't always have to be the Gorn.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I really hope we're done with the Gorn. I would like to say that like the Khazinti are going to be our next thing, but it's even a thing from Akiva Goldsman that said like, no, for some we can't do them, and I don't know why. There's a whole quote from him that we're going to get into in the next episode.
Well, they
so I'm gonna
used to be
save that.
co-owned. I don't know if they still are because they
Oh.
aren't originally a Star Trek creation. They were
Oh,
loaned,
okay.
They were loaned to Star Trek because Larry Niven wrote the episode they were in.
Yeah, he did say something about like we can't use them, and I'm like, why? Why can't you use them? They're from TAS.
They're actually
in this
from
timeline.
I think Ringworld, or is the name of the book. What?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
To answer your question, it's a little bit like Best of Both Worlds too, but two things. One, Trek is nothing if not good at copying and pasting old stories. That's like that in and of itself is a trope, and I'm okay
42
with it.
times.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it because usually when they copy and paste the same exact storyline, it gets better every time they do it again. You're like, hey, I like this one even better than last time. So I just want to say I don't have a problem with that. But then the second thing is like I think this is different. This seems totally different to me, especially with everything Rin said about the way that they use the binary stars to like suck themselves back to their home world and stuff. That was something I've never seen before. And even if you're saying like hibernation was the solution, yes, but the way they got to the hibernation was so interesting, using solar flares and starbursts and whatever. I thought was very novel, very cool, super interesting, very sciencey, very sci-fi.
Yeah.
I was happy with all of it, and it didn't feel like a rehash. Like, you know how every show has a let's go back to present day episode that makes you want to like break something? This didn't feel like that. This felt totally fresh and new to me. It didn't feel like, oh, time travel and now we're back in the present day. Oh my gosh, how crazy. Like it didn't feel like that at all. It felt fresh and new to me.
Yeah, I think it has some of the best techno babble of all the new Trek. Like when it talks about how they're going to use light to communicate and stuff. Like I love that stuff. I thought that was perfect. Like I can grasp what the concepts are without like having to read a giant book around it too. And I think that's always good narratively if you can sell that a little bit. You know, just a pinch of magic to go with all the techno babble it's perfectly fine. It's good Trek as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought the visuals were really cool. And yeah, to me it did feel kind of new.
Does anybody
Oh,
besides I'm just going to move on to the next question. Does anybody besides Scotty like Pelia? Does Scotty even like Pelia?
Does Scotty like Pelia?
I think we're talking about in universe, not so much.
Well, they
Does
should.
Scotty like Pelia?
Or I guess I don't know.
I
Actually, I
think
don't know where this question.
I think he's
Maybe we are
prickly
talking
and
about
in
us.
his feelings because of losing his CO on his ship and like all of the people he basically like knew from his crew. Like he's just in a bad place, I think. And then yeah, I think that's why he lashed out at Pelia. But I think he likes her. I think there's a respect there.
It's got to be kind of odd to be working for, like, if you go to school with a teacher you might not have gotten along with, then suddenly you're just 5 years later just working with them. I feel like that's kind of has to be an odd dynamic.
Norman, are you thinking of the Zen Kathy? Because I used to get those two confused. I don't think DS9 actually ever mentions the Kazinti. As far as I know, the only live action that does is in Picard when Riker's like, oh, we've had trouble with some Kazinti lately. But I might be wrong. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of us that kind of... Pelia's wearing thin. She doesn't actually do enough. And I know a lot of us have said, like, her best episode is when she's not even an engineer living in 2024 Vermont.
She does feel underutilized to me. I'm a sucker for a spunky old lady character, especially like a weird hippie engineer type. Like that's super fun. She basically reminds me of like a bog witch, but like on the Enterprise. And yeah, I don't know. I like her, but I do agree, like as an engineer, she definitely doesn't get to do enough actual engineering.
I knew when they underutilized her in the musical that she wasn't going to get a lot of face time. You have Carol effing Kane in your cast, and you put her in 2 chorus numbers with no solo. Like you're never going to give her the time of day.
Yeah.
I feel like she's probably there minimally, like maybe like Jet Reno was in the last season of Discovery. She comes in for 3 days, films enough to be in a couple episodes, and then she's gone.
She's the one who feels most like a sitcom character. Like she's the one who feels most like she's there to have quips. Like that's what it feels like her purpose is for a lot of the time. Like we don't see her do any actual engineering. I mean, and that can be fine if it's really top notch, but sometimes I just think she's a little too like sharp and mean to be likable here and there.
And
I
yes,
mean, I love
Norman,
Carol Kane. Like, yeah, beautiful person.
I agree. I like Carol Kane a lot
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And Norman, yes, you are thinking of the Zenkethi, not the Kazin. I know it's like the same kind of pronunciations, and I used to get those two mixed up too. But we don't know what the Zenkethi look like, so they could also be cat people. They could be distant cousins. We don't know.
They could also be Jello. Who knows?
I don't think we've had enough
Bucket with
Tholians.
Odo.
Jello.
We can't have Kazinti, then get me some Galdarn Tholians.
Or just get me some brand new aliens.
Yeah,
They don't have to be big and super relevant in like future Trek series. Give me some like strange little one-off guys that are just weird and we've never seen them before.
Like, give me the Hirogen, but different. Like, it's not the main enemy. It's not, it's not going to drive or not drive the plot. But it's an alien that you can interact with for like 3 episodes.
I mean,
Yeah,
to be
that's
fair, they have made like hundreds of aliens as background characters in random one-offs that we never see again. So they could just use one of those.
Right.
Like they have lots of aliens that look super cool that we only saw one time for whatever reason and never again. So we could just do that also.
The
The cool
fishmen
fungus
from
guys
the
from
transporter
Enterprise.
room in TNG. The ones that Luxana
The
found out
Benzite?
were assassins. We need those.
Oh, the fish guy. The fish guy.
Yes, the fishmen.
Nick Fleetwood comes back.
Oh yeah,
sometime.
give me some fishmen.
I would like to vote
Yep.
against the fishman.
That's a handsome race.
Give me
I mean-
some salamander guys that grew out of Janeway's and Tom's spawn, but then traveled back in time.
Yes,
I'm
and they,
so
they
pissed
came
that
for
we
all
don't
of our
get that.
coffee.
That
we're
should have been a
so
thing that we
trouble.
get in like season 3 of Prodigy that we'll never get.
The great salamander empire.
The show is called Strange New Worlds, though, and you would think we would get like a whole bunch of brand new aliens and something like some adversary.
Yeah,
But we've
that's
had strange old rehashes lately.
strange.
Yeah,
old
I feel like-
lore.
We've had more new worlds on freaking Lower Decks than we've had on Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, and I
Argue
feel
with
like even
Discovery, too.
if they used any of the one-off aliens that they have created over the decades that they have created them, they would still be new in this context because Strange New Worlds was before everything else. So I feel like this is still their first time meeting them, and maybe we can get background on them. Maybe they were just walking in the background in Quark's bar or something like that. But now we could give them personalities and backstories and whatever. I think
Let's
a
learn
whole-
more about the Morn. Let's do it.
Hell yeah!
there's like a
More about the
library
Morn.
of creatures to pull from, and I will say some of the creatures have been super interesting. Like we did have the this is not so much a hegemony point, but we did have the like godlike alien inside of the asteroid thing, comet or whatever, that only
Oh.
talked with sounds that
Mhm.
Uhura was able to like sing
Oh,
to
yeah,
or
that
whatever.
was really cool. I want more
So
episodes
cool.
like that.
Yeah, or like the light beings that were helping, Spock become Spock again. And they were all like, what is your concern? You've passed the date to make complaints. Like, why are you talking to us
Oh,
anymore?
yeah.
Like, I just thought that was really funny that they were so like irritated and just so like meticulous about their paperwork and stuff. I just love that they added those things together. So we have seen some super interesting aliens. Yeah. And the Gorn, I feel like is more of the fan service of like, hey, Gorn, let's talk about, which I'm fine with, but I'm also done with. So I agree with everything that you guys were saying of like, yeah, but like we've had a good amount of Gorn. Like I feel good about that. I feel satisfied.
I do wish that
Yeah.
if they introduce new crewmen, like they introduce a new ensign in the next episode, and he seems nice, but I kind of wish that we had more alien crewmen. I feel like that's one thing that Discovery like did really well, but then horribly underutilized. Like they gave us the Kelpians, the Barzan. They gave us Arium with her like really interesting like
Finance.
prosthetic android situation. They underutilized all of it, but they did have it. And this crew's like very, very human as like Starfleet crews go.
But isn't that
Half
what the
the
ship
reason
of
I
TOS was like? Isn't that what?
Yeah,
what the
Yeah,
Spock
but they're
was,
not the
as far as I
full
know,
TOS
Spock was the
crew.
only one.
And Spock basically looks human.
Yeah, but I'm saying is they're not the old TOS crew. Like there are people there that we don't see in TOS. So why not give us more aliens?
Well, yeah,
like we have 2 augmented humans, but like
the bartender.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Like
just gonna say now we got a
alien
new bartender.
You just can't be on
Yeah,
the bridge.
oh, that's true. I am really excited about the bartender. She seems fun.
I can't remember the race of Eric's.
It's,
I know I've heard it this week.
I may want a poster
Dosian.
of the bartender for my wall.
It's not a Frosian, it's
pretty
a Dosian.
Yes.
The bartender with the multiple hands was the like good version of that gag from what's that called? Happy Time Murders. I'm not going to explain the gag. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, and you know why I'm not explaining it.
Very
we'll
good.
get to that in the next episode.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, I got some stuff
Yeah,
to
sorry.
say about that bar.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, everybody.
Yeah,
That thought
we
has
got a
just been plaguing my head.
Couple more questions on this one before we get into the the cluster fuck that we have to talk about in that next one. Boy.
Why did something
Yeah.
happen?
I liked
Nope,
it.
nothing at all.
Wait, things happen on the ship?
Not anymore. So, closing out the Gorn, do you think they'll fall for this trick of being able to be put back into hibernation indefinitely?
Probably not.
Not indefinitely, just for their next cycle or whatever. Yes.
I feel like this is something so basic to their life cycle that Starfleet can't be the first ones to figure this the fuck out.
Ooh.
So they have to have some sort of defense system against it. They have to.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I do wonder if it's like such an intense biological imperative that they like don't have any defense for it, or like can't work on one while they're hibernating, and then I guess like theoretically would be too busy conquesting during awake time. I don't know. I'm always amazed that species like this have space travel at all. Because I'm like, how do you produce scientists, like Gorn scientists? Like my only assumption is they just steal everything the way that like the Caisson did. Like
Or the
Or the
pack.
Pac-
Packlets.
Well, the
Yeah, that-
beta canon has a whole explanation. I don't know if they're cribbing from it, but there's like distinct casts of different types of Gorn. And some are more intelligent, some are like the brute warriors, some are the science level and stuff.
interesting.
Okay. I'll thank the fans for making beta canon to make it make sense. Because as a scientist, I'm like, this makes no sense. Because either they're mindless animals or they're scientific savants who can create space travel. Like you can't have both ways where it's like they don't even see, they don't even hear, they only function through heat, body heat or whatever. And then all of a
They don't
sudden,
have any windows. They're too
Gorn in a full
Well-
EVA suit, like going through a panel trying to break their security codes. I'm like, pick a lane. Either
the
you can
ships
crack security codes,
themselves are
or you're
bio
just like
ships.
some mindless alien who just eats all day long and can't even, you know what I mean? I don't know. It just, so I'm glad the beta canon smooths that out, because that was the only thing that was bothering me as a scientist who loves science fiction, is I was just like, just make it make sense. Just like either they're just like, they're so primal and they just do instinct, or they like think through what they want to do regardless of their primal instincts. Like, you know what I mean?
What I had thought, because we had before we oh no, I guess that's the breed. Never mind. I was gonna say, because the in TNG they say something about like the Breen and whoever else who use bio ships as technology, and I was like, well, maybe these ships are just alive because we see them like digesting things to go. That maybe the ship itself is alive, and like it's not so much the Gorn built this, but the ships also evolve on the same planet or something like
Parasitic.
that.
Evil
Symbiotic.
farscape.
And maybe it's the ships
man.
that think, and like that's your mother brain, and then the ships actually call the Gorn to them and then take them into space. I'm going with
And then
that.
who creates the
Oh,
EVA
man.
suits?
That's what makes me
Eric.
like this episode a lot more. Like
They
oh,
appropriated
man.
them.
And then when the Gorn are like
Yeah.
shooting, again, I was just like, so wait, do they attack by like cutting and biting and chasing, or do they just pick up a firearm and just start blasting things? Because like, once again, these are two very different behaviors.
Blasting.
So I don't know. That was the only thing that was a little bit annoying, but whatever. I thought the episode was fun. I thought the first episode was great. It felt like how Trek should feel. And the whole time I was like, what is going on? Except for the Battelle stuff. But all the other stuff I was like, wow, like
Then you're
I was-
like, what is going on?
I was like, no, I was more like, oh, this is still going on. Oh.
So really the only other big question we have here, is this the most indecisive we've ever seen a Starfleet captain be? Because Pike, like, I mean, I
Probably.
know captains will ask for opinions sometimes from their crew, but I mean, he's just like going around the room and then still like really taking his time, and he does it multiple times in the episode. Like, he has checked out.
I think Saru has him beat.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that he loves that Sharon stick. Let me tell you. I mean, he doesn't have a dry thought in his head this episode. It's kind of sad watching it. Like I actually think they've underwritten Pike in a way that is very frustrating, in order to make sure that all the crew members can be involved and be part of the team. I don't know.
I think it's backlash due to the things he has said online, and they're trying to like stop people from not watching the show because of it. Because like people like were pissed, and that's the only explanation I can think of. Because up to this point, he's been like very main character, and now suddenly he's the first 2 episodes, both of them, he's much more in the background.
I'm still pissed.
Valid.
I like Norman's point there, actually, because that he was 2 different characters in this first episode. He was very wishy-washy on the bridge, but when he's in there alone with April and it's not like a pressing matter, suddenly he's more of a take charge. Like,
He's confident.
yeah. Maybe
Yes.
that's where he got all of his medals after the fact.
Oh my god, the medals.
Is that how medals happen?
Yeah.
Gannon!
Hey,
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Hey,
Yeah.
Sure
Yeah.
can.
you're audible.
Yeah, we can even hear the
Oh
candy.
man, what are you drinking?
I apologize for
That
joining
was-
late. I'm literally woken up. Like, I've
You gotta
accidentally fell
chug it
asleep.
though.
No worries, you're here now. So to answer your question, Dustin, yes. I just reviewed the footage in my catalog, and I think this was the most indecisive captain moment. Because even in life or death situations, even that's always high stakes. The captains, they'll say like options, and they'll say do it. You know what I mean? Like they'll get a couple options, and they'll be like do it. They don't go, oh, are you sure? Oh, this is really scary. Which
I'm
it
telling
is.
you
But
that
they don't
that's
do that.
direct quotes from Saru. I will make the argument all day long that Saru is way more indecisive than Pike will ever be. Saru is like, should I take 1 step or 2 steps? What do you think, Michael? What do you think? What do you think, person we're not even going to name?
But he never does
Okay.
that on the bridge.
I don't think he comes across as being super confident on the bridge either.
To be fair,
True.
captaincy was sort of thrust upon him,
Yeah.
as opposed to being a thing he was I think as prepared for.
He was kind of like a Riker, and then was like, hey,
Yeah.
captain. He's kind of like a Riker in Best of Both Worlds, where it was like, wait, huh? Like this isn't. I get that this is what happens to first officers sometimes, but that wasn't the plan. I agree that Saru is not the most confident person, but the question is like, was this the most indecisive kind of captain moment? And to my memory, yes.
Cool.
He did just kind of seem like a mess in this episode. The man's no Janeway. Like, I did
felt
kind of
better.
enjoy the collaborative problem solving, though. I feel like that's something that like is such a core Trek thing that we don't like. A lot of the newer shows have, like the one person who like solves saves the day, whereas here we had so many different people like giving input and like solutions were arrived at together. Like Una contributed, Uhura contributed, Mitchell contributed, Scotty and Pelia contributed, like Spock and Chapel had their thing. Like everyone kind of like got to have their like collaborative team moments where they all worked together, and I don't think there was really anything that was just like solved by one person. And so that was kind of nice to see, is like the ensembling to the max.
I agree.
Again, and we're actually like out of questions for episode 1 for Hegemony. So if there's anything you want to get in there,
I have no interest in talking about the first episode. I'm here solely for episode 2.
we got a lot to talk about.
I have like very strong opinions to share about episode 2. Episode 1 is fun and all, but I have no interest in talking about it. I don't care.
That's fair. And hey,
Valid.
we don't really slander Saru. I mean, both here and a couple of us in Shereese's stream when we did first officers came up with Saru as best first officer.
I love Saru. Saru was my
Saru's
favorite
great.
thing about Discovery, and I'm not even like a Discovery hater. He was just my favorite part of it.
He's pretty great. Like, I would want a Saru. He's like the best bestie you could have.
He has a great contribution, both his race and himself. He's like a great
Yeah, the Kelpians were really fascinating.
long-range Star Trek edition.
I think the Kelpians were one of like the most interesting and best developed things we actually got as like a contribution to like Trek alien canon in quite some time. Like it was really nice.
The design of it is never-endingly fascinating to me. Like just the way
Ugh.
it's incredible. Yeah, it's
Doug
just,
Jones, the prosthetic master.
Yeah, he's
Indeed.
amazing.
Even through all that makeup and prosthetic, he can still let emotions and things come
yeah.
through.
Well, for just 1 second, Shereese, are you not a fan of The Shape of Water? Based on our earlier part of the conversation, you don't like fish people? Not a Doug Jones fan of The Shape of Water?
I was like, the shape of water.
I was like, where the heck are you going with that, Robbie?
I like the benzites and stuff. I like the monster makeup that looks so legit where you're like, yeah, if a fish was a person, that's what they would look like. I love those. I hate the ones where it looked like they just went to Party City and were like, we need a giant fish. What you got? Perfect. Put that on screen. Yeah, I don't love those.
Guillermo del Toro and Doug Jones together are like always a match made in heaven. Like any movie.
Yeah, and discussing Trek, at some point I gotta like get you if you're interested in like joining our Discord or joining us here on screen, I can get you a link and get you in there. Okay, anybody have any last questions or thoughts about Hegemony Part 2? Okay.
I think this might be one of the worst like second parts in Trek history because the first part is actually like I really think it's kind of bad. And the first part rules. The first part feels really good, and then like the second part just crashes out. It has a few really good moments, and there's some good chemistry, but we have a little too much like people talking, just not enough like genuine action in a way that I would want out of Trek. And the way it resolves into the next episode is so awkward and clunky. Like I don't know. This feels like a miss somehow.
I liked
That's the best I can say about it.
I thought it was better than the first part, honestly. I thought the conclusion was way more interesting. The first part was just your standard alien invasion, people in peril, blah, blah, blah. Like, sci-fi bread and butter. It happens in every show. It's not that interesting, but like the resolution was so cool. It like elevated my opinion of basically the whole Gorn storyline.
Wow. I like Scotty's contributions to both parts. They were
that was fun.
Scotty's my favorite part of
Scotty is the best. And I really didn't like the fact that Jim Kirk was like so much in previous episodes, but I really enjoy Scotty, probably because I don't love Pelia. But I really enjoy Scotty legitimately. So I don't feel the same like, why is Jim Kirk here again? I'm like, oh, Scotty again. Like I have this opposite. I'm so delighted whenever he's on screen. He just seems
he's starting out. Like he's not a fully formed person yet.
Exactly. He's like Uhura, where it's like they're young and they're like fresh and new and like it's just
God.
I'm just here for it. But I agree with Ren and I totally disagree with you, Robbie.
You're welcome to. It's
also,
fine.
I think
like this does kind of feel like family is the one where Picard gets in a fight in the mud with his brother, right? After Best of Both Worlds.
Yes.
Yeah. It kind of feels like that in terms of like the tone shift into a lighter episode where you're still processing some of the consequences for some characters. The transition into Wedding Bell Blues actually didn't bother me either.
When it was a big of enough time jump.
I just think that I slightly agree with Robbie because they have been building up the Gorn for more than half of this series, essentially, because we're only going to get 46 episodes at the end of the day. This is kind of like the big bad of the halfway point, and they have gone through tremendous amounts of effort to kind of put them into this xenomorph category where they're almost a spooky horror element, and they didn't really utilize that in the final two-parter at all. That we just kind of had that Zerg rush of the Gorn on the ship, but I really did expect, especially up until the end, that they kind of kept a good horror element, which I don't think they did in the final episode at all. What's her face wasn't really, she did have a little bit of PTSD, but she really held herself together, especially being in the middle of a hellhole Gorn ship. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities with the Gorn. It is a little bit of a weaker two-parter, but that's not to say I didn't like it. I just felt like it could have been a little bit better. And then also, I'm just really glad that, like, I'm not Larry David, and like everybody else agrees with me that Pelly is kind of awful at this point. Like, she doesn't really do jack shit, and like it's a terrible replacement for Hemmer until she actually starts doing more than just being a substitute teacher for famous engineers.
Oh man.
All right, so we're at the 45-minute mark, so we're gonna cut this one. Norman, I agree that it's in the same kind of vein as those. I think it's better than both of those two-parters, but yeah, it's like just kind of middle of the road fine. But all right, so one of our buddies, it's been here for a long time, Scott from Opinions No One Cares About. He couldn't be with us today, but I met up with him in real life the other day.
The meat space.
Oh man,
I got his out of 10, and let me close chat and play his. Let's see if I play the right one.
What's up, Buffer Timers? So, as I believe you guys know, I'm on vacation in Maine. Thankfully, I'm here with Dustin. There he is. And I just wanted to get in my thoughts on these two episodes, because I can't be there live. So, let's see. Hegemony Part 2. It delivered what it promised, right? I mean, Part 1 starts the two-parter, this one ends the two-parter. You get kind of an interesting resolution with Captain Batel. I kind of wonder how having Gorn in your body will work going forward. I have to admit, I was a little more interested in the relationship between Pelia and Scotty before Windgrace pointed out in the video that he did that it does kind of seem like they just brought Carol Kane in as like a big name to have as a temporary engineer. So now, Scotty can have his moment. I think I enjoyed Chapel and Spock working together to save Batel way more than the seeming continuation of their will they, won't they business. Because we know they won't. Like, the way they, defeated the Gorn, like, if you weren't immediately thinking of best of both worlds, then you're not me. Because, I mean, that's exactly what Picard did, right? He's like, put the Borg to sleep. And now the Gorn are hibernating. And yet nothing is apparently going to explain how they wind up looking the way they do in TOS. Yeah, I liked seeing a little more use of Ensign Mitchell in this one. She's always kind of just been there, not really, main character status, but, she's a dedicated officer and willing to do what it takes to get the job done, and I respect that. So, out of 10, this one for me is probably an overall of about 6.5. I don't know if is that generous?
Yeah, sorry, it started raining as soon as we started filming.
Don't apologize. That's cinematic as hell. Like, that's the most cinematic Scott review I've ever seen.
It looked awesome.
Yeah, it was really
All
nice.
right. So Scott gave it a 6.5. I'm not going to be quite as generous. Just for everybody's reference, if you haven't seen me before, I rank Star Trek versus all the other Star Trek. So there are 1s, there are 10s, and to me, this is just under a 5. I'm going to give it a 4.9. It's serviceable. The Gorn are like fine. Like, just in general, everything I can say about the episode is it's fine. There's some stuff towards the end. Well, I really like the idea that like they can create an artificial star out of the Enterprise. I have problems believing how they get 200 colonists in like 30 seconds through the shields while they're creating an artificial star. And it just like, it's so improbable. I can't even quite give it a 5. I have to take just smidge off. It's just under like the halfway mark out of 900 episodes of Star Trek. Go ahead, Ren.
I'm a soft touch in the rating, so I'll probably give it like a 7.5 or like even a 7.75. Honestly, actually talking with Shereese on stream made me like cemented the things I liked about it even more. I thought the Gorn were like really, they made them a lot more interesting in this episode, and I think that they broadened the lore in a cool way. I loved all the practical effects. I thought that it was a kind of impressive that they managed to have a mostly developed A, B, C, and D-ish plot, while still having time for a few quips and like sweet moments between the characters. I did feel like the away team plot was really underutilized, and I think maybe if they had spent a bit less time on the whole Spock Chapel drama and also Battelle stuff, that would have been really nice to be able to expand that a little bit more, because I actually think that was some of the most interesting stuff in the episode too. Like, I would have loved to learn more about that ship and explore it. I also thought it was cute seeing Sam Kirk being like really excited about his like xenoanthropology stuff on the ship. Like, that was kind of fun. But I think its biggest issue was that it did so much in a normal length episode. Like, they should have maybe tacked on a few more minutes or something, or made it like one of the longer ones. I think it's only 49 minutes. And so they just put a little bit too much into it, and so it did leave some stuff feeling a bit underdeveloped. And I kind of agree, like, yeah, Dustin, the beaming of the colonists happens so like inexplicably that I feel like they don't even mention it in the moment, they just mention it afterwards. So that like stops me from rating it even higher. But I thought that it did some interesting stuff, and yeah, I liked it better than Hegemony Part 1, and I'm glad that we're done with the Gorn, hopefully.
I loved this episode. I'm gonna give it an 8. I enjoyed it so much. I feel like typically with two-parters in Trek, I tend to not love part 1 because it's like the setup and it's all the backstory and all of that, and then the second part is usually the resolution. You know, now it's like all the action and all the exciting stuff. But I didn't feel like that with this. I felt part 1 felt super interesting to me. And at the end, when everyone was beamed up and they were like, we don't have them, the Gorn have them, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I thought I liked part 1, like, which normally I don't. And so I really enjoyed part 2. I'm only taking off points because of the weird behaviors of the Gorn that just didn't work for me. I was like, they need to be either like animals or like people, but I don't know what's going on here. I'm taking a little bit of points off for the whole fact that they made the ship a star, which was just kind of ridiculous. But I love the fact that they added in the binary system and the solar flares as having something to do with biology. So it's kind of like, I love the science that they try to put in here, even though they did it all like wrong. But I love that they put some stuff in there that's like real science stuff that exists. So yeah, that's me. I'm giving it an 8.
I benefited from being mostly science illiterate.
As would anybody.
You kind of have to for
World.
these two. I'm not going to rehash what we had talked about in the first episode of this, but I really didn't like how science was handled in either one of these, particularly part 1. Go ahead, Robbie.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were going to go Dell. So, just to clarify my earlier statement, I did have fun with both of these episodes on a certain level. Okay, like I don't absolutely hate these things. Please, I promise I'm not trying to ruin our friendships or anything over these episodes. I just think the whole end result of the second part leaves me so underwhelmed by what the Gorm should be achieving as a villain that's been built up in Star Trek. It's inherently incapable of satisfying what I want out of the Gorm. But I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on. There was a lot of good body horror. There was a lot of it's a little too quick. Like, I wish we could kind of delve into it a little more. I'm sorry if that's hard on the people who are a little queasy out there. I guess I like things a little bloodier. It just feels visceral and raw to me in a way that's satisfying. Both parts together, I want to give just a 7. Like, I think they just pass the barometer of what makes an entertaining Star Trek episode. They do try to incorporate scientific stuff into it. The idea that the Gorm communicate through light and all this other stuff is very fascinating. Like Shereese said, it's not implicated the way you would properly do this. And I think they get out of situations way too easily. I think they just override like character actions in a way that's kind of insulting to the audience and to the characters themselves. The characters get so frustrated. But all the Scotty stuff is so amazing. This might be my second favorite Scotty. Like, OG is number 1, of course. Anton, no, what am I saying? But Simon Pegg, number 3. But this guy, number 2. I mean, he's just so fresh, fun. I mean, everything he delivers in that accent is pure gold.
Well, he's actually
Even-
Scottish, so that helps.
And you can tell.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize. Okay,
Bullshit.
yeah, lovely.
First
not
Scottish
Canadian?
Scotty.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, blazing trails for Star Trek. You know,
Seriously.
white people don't have enough representation on Star Trek.
God damn it.
Well, at least
Yeah,
Uhura's
okay.
getting better representation in Strange New Worlds than she ever did in TOS.
Damn straight. And yeah, there's fun stuff with her here. I think there's fun stuff, but it does feel like a letdown. I'm just going to have to give Hegemony Part 2 flat 6. That's as generous as I could be for it with how much fun I had for it.
Do it, Josh.
So I think I agree. I liked part 1 better, not because I hated part 2, but I think there is a clear difference, as some of the people have mentioned before, that I felt more invested in part 1. Like I felt more frightened, more afraid, more like the word Robbie used earlier. I actually felt things were more visceral in the first part because you had, the destruction of the Cayuga. You didn't know who was alive, who wasn't. You had the remnants of the ship floating up there. And, maybe it was weird to shoot the ship at the tower on the planet, but I found that fun, at least. Like it was kind of a cool concept. They were trying to sneak across enemy lines without being detected. They didn't know who was alive on the planet. They were being hunted by the young of the species, so they didn't really know what they were capable of. And then you have this miracle Scotty who's just like, I figured stuff out on my way down. Like all of that was fun. And in the second episode, we have some visceral stakes with Battelle and her Gorn Busters and what's her name? Ortegas and her melty parts. But aside from that, it felt a lot more grand and less real. Like it was a very video gamey. We had the whole like ginormous overwhelming invasion force which is going to sweep through and take out the Federation that they just kind of stopped and now we're all good. Like it didn't feel the same amount of personal stakes like the first part did. But the things that were included, I really liked. What we haven't talked about so far, I actually liked the part of the medical scene with Spock and Chapel when they worked together and realized they shouldn't be treating Battelle. Maybe they should actually work on treating the Gorn inside of her. And I liked them using the sort of modified hazard suits or whatever you want to call them that were kind of an update from the original series. I probably stole that from Gannon. I'm sorry. But like there were cool things here, but it did feel like it wrapped up a little bit too, like they wanted to wrap it up as opposed to it having a natural conclusion that they reached. So I'll give it, I guess, probably a 6.5.
Do it, Del.
Oh, I don't think anyone's going to be talking about this episode in 3 months. I'm going to give it a 5.
Valid.
Hey Google, set a reminder for 3 months.
I think we're going to be talking about the second episode for the rest of our goddamn lives, and I think we're going to remember what happened in this episode.
Before you go, Gannon, I just want to throw out to the audience here, we have 2 different chats for Buffer Time behind the scenes for all of us. And I'm pretty sure we've talked more about the next episode than we normally talk about an entire season of Trek.
I'm not
but
going
go
to be
ahead,
able to hang
Gannon,
for the whole
because
thing.
we're already like way over what I wanted.
Yeah,
you're
Dustin-
not going to get me for much longer. I'll fall asleep.
I'll quickly share my score. I could politely ask when we talk about next episode if I could go first because I don't think I could stay the whole time. I'm just really tired tonight. I have work
Fair.
tomorrow. I appreciate it, but I just have to double down, and I'm probably going to give it a 5.5. Just because Strange New Worlds inherently, I think every single episode is just a little bit above average compared to other Star Trek coming out these days. But yeah, I just have to double down. They built up the Gorn for half the series. I would have liked a little bit better explanation to tie it into the TOS episode. Maybe give us an explanation as to why these Gorn are so different. And I just feel like they didn't even really scare me more than the Zorgon from Zathura. You know what I mean? You've had previous episodes where the babies are like stealing entire Starfleet like grown ass people and just scurrying them off into the night. But in this episode, nobody died on the ship seemingly, other than those who rotted in the little capsules that were eating them alive. So I just felt like there's a lot of things they could have done better with the Gorn, and they weren't particularly the strongest point of the episode.
Patel should have died for the stakes.
Mm.
I'm sorry.
Not after Hemmer.
True.
I want to see those Gorn babies pop out. Give me some of that Ridley Scott shit.
Season's not over yet.
Pop, pop, pop.
I never want to see that again.
Like
Well,
whack-a-mole.
All right, so that comes out to an average of a 6.675. Yeah, a little bit above average, decent, and I agree with that. Even though I went lower, it's fine. It's a standard episode of Star Trek. It works. All right, great. Okay, let's move on because
I am going to tap out because I think I don't want to get into this and then be halfway through and have to leave. But I just want to say really quickly, this was my day in Strange New Worlds. You guys know I love that fucking shit.
Yes.
I love Star Trek took a breath, and that makes me very happy. And that's all I'll say about it. Good night, guys.
give me an out of 10 for this.
Good seeing you, friend.
9. Loved it.
Okay,
Loved every minute of it. Loved the whole
Wonderful.
you look like an Andorian. Loved it. 9.
LLAP.
Thanks, Del.
Bye.
I agree. I also loved it. But sorry, go ahead, Gannon.
Yeah. if
No,
you just
whenever
wanna,
we're
like,
ready
get
to
some stuff
start
out of the way.
this next episode, I'll go. Whenever we're ready.
Because I mean, overall, I was just going to start with okay, I'm just going to start with the end because the rest of the episode is pretty easy to dissect, I think. But the ending, I before you even go, I think I have to start by reading this interview with Akiva Goldsman,
Oh
the
my god,
showrunner,
this pissed me off.
done by TrekCore. They asked the question, is Trelane the Q2 character in your interpretation? And Goldsman's answer is no. But we're also saying that even the individualization into single anthropomorphized creatures might not even be typical inside the Q continuum. In fairness, we're just using labels that afford us the opportunity to track through and make them familiar. You could even say Q and Trelane are the same being in different times. I mean, you can kind of go up and down with it, but father and son is kind of the easiest way to do it. And I hate this answer so much. It confirms one thing, that this is not technically the Keegan Delancey played Q's son from Q2.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, I don't care what he says.
Don't listen
I'm
to him.
killed-
This
my own mind.
response makes him seem like he's on drugs. Don't listen to him.
This killed about half of the theories that we came up with, of which there are many for how to explain a lot of this. But I feel like he's also simultaneously saying everything and nothing by this comment, and it bothers me so much because there's things that don't make sense within continuity, like well, maybe it sounds good on paper, like, all right, well, maybe the Q are just, they're kind of like the 10C, like they're one but many. But the problem is then we've got things like the Q and the Gray where you've got lines
Q.
like, well, it's amazing that what one omnipotent being will come up with to kill another omnipotent being when you're at war. So that just kind of breaks that for me. There's just that's the real problem with making Trelane Q. From my point of view, like, I've always wanted that to be a thing because it's been a thing in beta canon for a long time.
Yeah.
But once you get down into it, now we've got an awful lot to talk about to try to resolve canon here. Go ahead, Gannon on canon.
Okay, gotcha. So, if you remember, Dustin, after watching this episode, I had a very strong reaction. And I sincerely have to admit my arrogance at the time. Like, I was just arrogant. I was like, oh my gosh, like, there's no way Trelane is Q. There's so much stuff that this episode does that disrespects the Squire of Gothos. And then I went onto Reddit. I watched all the Q episodes, Squire of Gothos, and it just kind of made me realize how much I haven't never really cared about the Q character to explore it, because Q has always been such a powerful just character that does whatever it wants. It's never really been one that needed much exploration for me. And I was like, man, the Squire of Gothos, he was an infant of his race. He needed a device in order to manipulate matter because he was so young. And on top of that, how is he going to act like he didn't know Spock prior to this? And then everybody reminds me that the Q live a non-linear existence. So really, you go back and you watch all 3 episodes that really concern the source material, and it lines up like really well, like more well than you'd ever think. You just have to think of it this way. There's the one episode where Susie Plaxton and John Delancey put their fingers together like E.T. and they create an infant Q. And then you just have to go and assume that that infant Q had no interaction with humans during the Janeway portion of the timeline and just went back to different parts of the timeline to just fuck with historical figures in order to get to know humans, because at the beginning of Q2, I believe, that's the first time he shows up as a teenager and he's like, oh, yeah, you know, you're not like as cool as Kirk or whatever. He made a comment about Captain Kirk, but like the moment he met Janeway. So you just kind of have to assume that the first time that we've seen Baby Q interact with people is the Squire of Gothos. He went to interact with Kirk and Spock. He pulled their ship to the planet of Gothos, and that is his first time interacting with humans truly, because as the character goes, he claimed, this is my cat, she's going to be out, but he claimed that, you know, he's never seen humans, and he was really looking forward to seeing humans from the Napoleonic era, because the episode claimed that he was able to depict human kind from light years away, and he was observing old light from the Napoleonic era. So when they showed up in a starship, it was very confusing for him. So I was like, there's so many plot holes here. There's so many. But you just have to assume that that all happened first. And then after that interaction, Trelane then, I theorized that from his interaction with Spock, he just wanted to go back in time and either fuck with them some more or kind of give him some kind of weird Q gift. Because you know how sometimes Q like to help people. Like John Delancey in his own weird way, he likes to go out and help people. So then there are
parallels to Tapestry here too.
Yeah, there's the second interaction with Q that we see in this latest episode, and that's really how you have to think about it, is that this is the second interaction. This is the Q's son basically traveling back in time for a second time and just fucking with Spock some more when he's even younger.
I love your explanation, actually, because one thing that was bothering me about this is if this was canonically after Q2, then Q2 has regressed a lot in his treatment of humans. But your version of the timeline actually solves that problem and even explains why he would dump Q2 with Janeway. I really like that.
Another thing that protects it is I didn't really see this at first. When I first watched the episode, I thought that Trelane appeared as his original form when he was the bartender. But I look back and in the mirror, he hid himself the entire episode.
Vulcan.
Yeah, so it perfectly covers and hides the fact that Spock wouldn't recognize him in Gothos because he never actually saw his true form. Another thing, like, I guess I really never did sit down and consider how similar Trelane is to Q, about how they are characters who like to just transform themselves into humans in different points of history. And also, like, there's literally a Judgment episode in the Squire of Gothos. The exact same thing that was in the, you know, the two-parter that TNG opened with. So there's so much evidence to insist that basically Trelane was just a very infant, like a very juvenile Q in the Squire of Gothos, and he needed a little device to help him control his powers like a real Q. And so that's all I really need to fully believe this. And then the last thing I say, because I will be leaving soon, I am yapping, is that I've been looking forward to this episode more than anything, because you guys know how much I love TOS, and What Little Girls Are Made Of is one of my favorite episodes of all time. I was really looking forward to Dr. Corby, and in all honesty, I am a little bit disappointed for 2 reasons. One, I think it's very strange to have a 3-month time skip in the middle of a season, because historically all time skip happens like between the season ending and the season opener. So that was a little bit strange. And then number 2, it is just a little bit of a goofy triangle, and I feel like Dr. Corby as a character was just kind of disrespected. I hate his Irish voice because really he's supposed to sound like this, Christine. Hi, Christine. I'm the real Dr. Corby. I am Dr. Corby. But he's not supposed to sound like an Irishman, and that is just the laziest departure. And I know so many people won't care about that, but I care about it so much.
No, I only care about Irish culture in this when it comes to the Guinness, but we'll talk about that later. I agreed mostly with your interpretation. I really had liked that until we saw this thing from Akiva Goldsman now, where we know that, okay, Trelane is not Q2.
I just think he thinks he's like James Gunn, and he thinks like he's the real showrunner when I think the actual writers of this episode had way more involvement in the plot than Akiva did, and he's just talking after the fact as the showrunner. I think he just needs to shut the fuck up.
Whether he is or isn't, though, there are problems canonically. I do agree that it's like all out of sequence. I think, honestly, that Gothos takes place before this, even though in like the canonical timeline it would take place after.
I think
just
so,
because,
too.
like, in that one, when you rewatch it, he's like, he really doesn't like Spock. He hates how cunning he is. And I think he picked up on that, and like, then he's like, he kind of owes him one by going back and doing this. But one of the other weird pieces of canon that they kind of broke there is why in Gothos his food and drink had no taste, but in this one he went from like one flavor to another right in front of people's eyes, and it was like, well, that was fine.
Because this has got to be a second time interacting with humans, in my opinion.
He learned from that interaction.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, so Gothos takes place first, right?
Yes. From his point of view.
I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys feel like Nurse Chapel is like low-key kind of a bad person? Like,
Yes. Oh my god.
Because,
I want to talk about this.
Because
oh my
like,
god.
Because it's attractive as she is, like, oh my god, Nurse Chapel. I have such a big crush on her, but I understand why Spock threw that Plomik soup in a moment of weakness. Like, she low-key deserves 3 bowls of Plomik soup to the face.
He's
like,
over
this
it,
is
yeah.
insane at this point. This is
She's not a
insane, the
bad person.
disrespect.
She's a bad girlfriend.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Oh my
yes,
god.
she's a terrible girlfriend.
The way,
She doesn't care about people's feelings at all.
She handled the Corby situation was so messed up, like unbelievably fucked. Like I get that Spock's expectations were mismatched considering the last conversation they had was, we're not in us, don't wait for me. Like, I get that. But still, like, she knew she was gonna see him. She knew she was gonna see him, and she knew he would still have his little Spock feelings. And she created just like an excruciatingly awkward situation for poor innocent Corby by not simply like sending Spock a little communique and being like, hey, I'm sorry, like I didn't plan this, but I met somebody and he's gonna be my date at this event. Like, you know, I'm really sorry. I hope we can see, like, whatever.
It would have taken all of 35 seconds for her to do that before she beamed up. All of 35. Hey, before I beam up, just want to let you know, terrible timing. Sorry to send this text, but I am beaming up with my now boyfriend. So maybe don't wait for me at the transporter, and I'll talk to you about it later.
I used to think that Spock like became full Vulcan because Pike, his best friend, was going to be sent into a chair for the rest of his life. But I honestly think it's just because of Nurse Chapel. Like,
I don't
Nurse
want to be
Chapel
fucked around like this again.
is beating
like,
him into the ground at this point. It's kind of crazy.
and then inviting him to that awful cocktail hour, and then actually telling your like super sweet, tender, much more like romantic story of how you got together in front of him. Like, no.
Why was he invited to this? Why did you invite him to this? You just don't care about his feelings at all.
Spock,
and then you look into
unfortunately,
each other's eyes deeply. Like, this is not appropriate for him to be there. Like, you know, this is so hurtful. This would hurt your feelings.
But let's blame the real culprit. This is all Boimler's fault. Had Boimler not told Chapel that Spock is not meant to be with you, none of this would be happening.
That's true. If Boimler could have just kept his mouth shut.
No, Chapel would have done it anyways, because she broke up with the song, like in the middle of a happy song. I'm going out of town, and I don't care about leaving you. Okay, well, you couldn't have said that with regular words.
But at the same time, Spock's big number was, I'm the X. We were being told right then and there that...
that was before the Gorn ship. That was before the Gorn ship, and they held hands in space.
Also, he was still like, that was a mad, heartbroken song. That was like a lament that he's the ex.
Dude, Dr.
Because
Corby
after
did
that,
not save
you know,
6 foot
they're
tall
all
lizard
like,
monster.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't think she's a terrible person, but I do think she's a terrible girlfriend. So, you know, good luck.
Meanwhile, poor T'Pring over there, like having to go through all of this on the other side of things.
That's actually so bad that his choices are between T'Pring and fucking Chapel, like 2 women that are actually problematic.
I like T'Pring.
Gannon, before you
never done
go,
that to him.
Yeah.
And then Spock was single for the next 100 and something years.
Gannon, before you go, I'd like to say that I really agree with you. I mean, Akiva Goldsman, with the money he makes on this show, he could get a lot of drugs. And good drugs at that, too. So, yeah, I definitely believe he is on drugs.
That was like
more drugs.
That was like a
You heard it here
politician
first
slash
on Buffer
executive
Time.
high off their pants response. Like that response was so political. It was just, it actually made me mad listening to it. Like, just let your writers like give their opinions on the episode, not you. I don't think he wrote this fucking episode. Let's be real.
I read it 2 or 3 times trying to make fucking sense of it. I hated that
Who's the
answer
writer
so
on
much.
this?
It is. It's one of the weirdest because he gives you a very direct answer to is this Q and Q2 and Trelane the same thing? No, but then like obfuscates to all tomorrow, and it really bothers me because then like before we saw that we had 1,000 ideas of how this works in canon, and then that broke some of them, but like also his response breaks canon in the response, and it hurts my head so much.
But you know,
Also,
like
make it more
Kristen
interesting,
Beyer
like,
and David Reed.
Like they shouldn't be clearing this up in like an after episode interview.
And I also feel like it's one of those things, kind of like the Uno reverse rules. You know how kids come up with their own Uno rules or like family rules, and this is how we play Uno, regardless of what the Uno company has to say about it. I feel like that's this situation. People are going to be like, yeah, that's the company doesn't know what they're talking about. This is how we play Uno.
Well,
I
you
feel
heard
like
the
that's
Uno
what's happening with
news, right?
everything about this episode. As
They're
far as
putting-
Trelane and the
they're
game.
putting
Uno
Uno in the
Casino.
casinos.
If they didn't want us to feel this way, they shouldn't have had John Delancey come into the studio at all.
Yeah,
I'm
they
sorry.
did. They did all
God
of this.
damn it, yes.
I mean, when the reveal
said
first
it.
happened, I was literally kicking my little feet. Like I was quite excited about it. I was gasping and yelling and going, "Oh my god!" And then that quote is
Honestly, it doesn't matter. If it's not on screen, it means nothing.
that's how I'm handling it. I'm just gonna ignore it.
I mean, yes, but then again, I mean, it's bad writing if you have to explain a thing afterwards.
It
But if
is.
Akiva
Fair.
Goldsman's telling you that he's Q, then it is. But yeah, I'll be honest, this is the first time John Delancey's ever shown up, and I've been like, I'm
Bummed.
actually
they
not
knew what they were doing.
excited that he's showing up. I love the man. I love Q as character.
Excited about
But this
it.
muddies so much water. It just it hurts my head to try to figure out how this canon works. I mean, like I guess it's okay that maybe Trelane is just a younger version of him, and yes, they're like one and the
Maybe-
same. Like, okay, but
Maybe they
the
did
rest of what he
something
said
like with
bothers
Q, where they like where he's young and troublesome, so they like took away his powers to an extent, and that's why he needs the machine in Gothos. I don't know.
Well, you know, there was that episode where there's a half human, half Q, and she needed to learn her powers to a degree.
True.
So I don't think it's above. I don't think it's really above inference to like just infer that young Q don't have full control over their powers, and they're probably a little bit abusive of the universe, and they have to have their parents look over them a little bit because that's just how silly the Q are. Like they're omnipotent beings, but they still have a family dynamic.
That episode kind of fucks up the whole continuity of Q2. I mean, I guess not, because Q can like do whatever they want whenever they want, but it is kind of.
Well, yeah, that throws a monkey wrench in because their parents were murdered by like a tornado or whatever because they chose a mortal life. But then that means their parents were Q who had a Q. But when Q and Lady Q have Junior, they're like, this is the first Q that's ever been made.
the very
ever,
first
ever.
Q born in the continuum.
Okay,
She
that's
was
a
not born
valid
in the continuum.
asterisk. Fair enough.
Also, like you wouldn't. The Q have shown many times that they could take abilities away from other Q. So why
Yeah, that's
wouldn't
what
they
I'm
just
saying.
nerf their young because they wouldn't trust their young with
Literally.
omnipotent power over the universe? Why not start them out with something simple like a little machine to
And a
control
little,
their powers on a
empty
single planet?
to call your own.
Yeah. I think that's perfectly fine reasoning for me.
Yeah. Canonically, I don't actually have that much in the way of problems with it, especially after like talking it over with y'all. But like, yeah, that quote's really annoying. I actually would have preferred if he was also Q2 because that's kind of amazing.
I'm not sure what other elephant in the room we have other than this, because yeah, we're gonna be here a while. Or maybe we finally gotten through all the what's left of our theories, because yeah, Akiva Goldsman just kind of sent us in circles again after we already had some good thoughts.
I do like that this does canonically mean that Q is like way more polite to both Pike and Kirk than he was to Picard and Janeway, and he literally just enjoyed fucking with them.
Well, I like how even in this fake reality, Pike is still just the one making food and handing out treats.
No, again, I'm fine with that.
Bar's open.
I wish I didn't know about like Anson Mount's online presence, but now that I do, it's like ruined Pike for me quite a lot, and now I just hate seeing him on screen and long for him to suffer.
What's he doing?
Oh, he can I talk about it, Dustin, or would you rather I didn't?
Oh no, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So he basically followed Bajoran workers, the genocide in Palestine, and chastised people for bandying about the term genocide, and really like both sides it super hard. I have not seen a single apology from him, even though there were literally like hundreds of fans being like, "Hey, what the fuck, dude?" And so, yeah, it completely like changed how I see him as a person, and it makes it so that everything he does as a character just rings like brutally insincere to me. Now he's sharing like weird AI slop, despite like all of the implications of that. He's like, "Oh look, I put this tonight's episode script into ChatGPT, and here's the picture it made," and you're like, "What is even happening?" Like, I feel like if you sign on to a project that's as like political as Star Trek, like I don't know, I feel like you have an obligation to maybe either shut up or have some decent political opinions.
I have something to share that's pretty similar to that. Ren, listen to this. So Jess Bush, I have a huge crush on Nurse Chapel. You know what I mean? I have a huge crush on Nurse Chapel. But I follow Jess Bush on Instagram just like Anson. And there was this one evening where, to her story, she posted basically bringing awareness to people suffering because of the genocide, because of the war, people who can't get food, people who can't get basic necessities. And then literally 15 minutes after that, she must have forgot that she posted that, because she posted the most lavish, upper class, New York style breakfast sandwich I've ever seen. It was an egg sandwich with very thick milk bread, and it had caviar on the eggs. And this was only 15 minutes after posting about starving children. And I thought that was like kind of a little bit insane. Like, did you not?
That's weirdly
let them eat
caviar for sure. But yeah, I am glad she at least said something at all that wasn't "stop bandying about the term genocide for all these literal thousands of children being murdered."
It just kind of reminds you that a lot of our favorite actors are extremely flawed. Like, I think Janeway's actress like believes in like flat Earth or something.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Well, I think I heard rumors about that. It's probably not true, but there are a lot of Star Trek actors that are just complete assholes, and we have to separate them from the character, or at least try to.
Not as many in Trek.
I know Chakotay is a problem. I know the Icheb actor's a problem. I think for me, it's just, I feel like Anson Mount is so high profile right now, and like
he's the worst one. Absolutely.
It's so beyond the pale that for me, I really have a hard time separating the character from him. I just really want the man to be punched in the face.
I understand. Completely.
I think it's just like you can't unring the bell, right? It's just one of those things where because I have the same thing, and on my channel and on my show and on my videos, I almost never talk about the actors. I just talk about the characters, because the characters I know inside and out. Like, I know whatever thoughts they've shared on screen. I don't know anything about these actors. I don't know these people. All I'm hearing is whatever someone's reporting. I don't even know it's true, right? And a lot of people will come in, they'll be like, "Well, I know this happened back behind the scenes, and this actor was always showing up drunk and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Were you on set? Like, what are you even talking about?" So like, but to Ren's point, like, you can't unring the bell. Once you do hear horrible stuff, even if the horrible stuff is totally fake or made up, it's like it taints everything else that the artist makes. And sometimes knowing artist backstory makes their art better, but sometimes knowing an artist backstory makes their art worse. And now you're like, well, I can't watch a single movie with this actor because now I know all this crazy stuff that he's done. And like all my favorite movies of him, I can never watch again. Like sometimes it's just, it's done, and you can't re-separate them, and you can't undo it. It's such a bummer.
As far as Anson, it's definitely true. You can go back to Twitter,
it's literally
X,
still on his Twitter. He didn't even delete it in shame. It's there. You can see it. It's bad.
I'm not saying that's fake.
He's called people communists in comments and stuff too. So
I'm not saying that's fake. I'm not saying everything you're saying is like fake.
No, I get it. I understand.
I'm saying you can't like unring it. Like once it's tainted, it's like everything they touch is tainted. It's like the Midas touch, but the bad way.
Exactly. I just can't unknow it. And now anytime I see him on screen being like sincere or noble, I'm like, shut up, go away, I hate you.
That's my big That's my big problem with it too, because like every time now I see the actions they make for him, and I'm cynical about them. I'm like, oh, they're trying to make him a good partner, so we're not worried about what he's doing outside of the screen. They're trying to make him look, like he's reliant on his crew, so we're not making him look too masculine. Like it creates a level of cynicism about this like character when he's associated with it that is unbearable almost.
That line
Like they're
in
focus grouping
Hegemony
him.
where he's like, oh, we, basically like, oh, we can't we're just going to let these people die because they're not a part of Starfleet. I'm like, wow,
Yes.
letting people
Yeah,
die
I thought
because
to
of
his
where
tweet
they're
exactly
located
there.
being a bad thing. That's sure an interesting take, buddy. Wow, what current event might that relate to, actually, pal?
Sorry,
Yeah,
we can't
it's-
help them.
it's
They're
really
not within
funny.
Starfleet's jurisdiction, Ren. We can't help them.
Literally, oh my god. Yeah.
I mean, Pike is a prime directive, like fascist, right? Like now, like because of this guy. Like, unfortunately, I hate to admit, but that's probably the truth now.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I really, really liked Pike. And like again, he could have just said nothing, and it wouldn't have been like good. Like I think it's good to use your platform to advocate for people who are being unjustly murdered. But like saying nothing is so much better than what he did. Just shut up, my guy, just shut up.
This guy could tell this stuff to his wife and she could call him stupid and this would be all over. We wouldn't be having to deal with this. Like it's that simple. My God.
Twitter was a mistake.
Twitter is a mistake, especially if you.
Yeah,
I would constantly like make a comment like, what if we had Twitter when Einstein was alive? Like how crazy would the tweets be back then? Like if Einstein was allowed to share his every fucking thought about him like marrying his cousin and stuff and researching nuclear things. That'd be insane.
Cousin marriage is actually fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Reinhardt 68. We're still on. He said, "Oh, I thought it was going to be late."
We're still here. This is going to be one of the longest buffer times.
You
ever.
normally would have missed it by quite a wide margin, but we are currently talking about episode 2 of season 3 of Strange New Worlds. However, we haven't actually talked about any part of the episode, but the last 2 minutes.
Einstein was a real
about Chapel's rudeness. That was at the beginning.
Okay, that's fair. We talked about the first 2 minutes and the last 2 minutes. Mostly there's a wedding. That's mostly what happens. But in the end, it does go through. So.
We met a bunch of new characters who are probably going to be in the show more.
We also met a sexy new doctor who we're going to point out is very sexy and charming.
Oh, the nurse?
He's a nurse. I don't think Enterprise gets another doctor until, well, I was going to say Bones, but there's that. Who's the guy that comes in
the cage?
No, that was before.
No,
this.
Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Voice was the cage. Piper was in Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Yeah, there you go.
I literally think that Boyce like predates this. Like Boyce has already been on the ship and he's gone off.
Yes, he should have been there at the beginning, played by Jeffrey Combs, but nobody listens.
I mean, Josh, dude, I go to sleep thinking that every night. Like that's what I think about right before I go to consciousness. Like
we just don't have
enough. As much as I love
Mbenga,
but that would have been peak.
I'm still wondering after the show whether or not maybe Mbenga is still the chief medical officer in TOS, because Bones always just refers to himself as the ship's surgeon, never the CMO. Anyway.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, there's another doctor in the Galileo 7 too, who wasn't either.
Oh, yeah.
He was a jerk. He was mean to Spock.
So they shot him out of an airlock.
Statistically coded weird character.
How much longer are you sticking around, Gannon? Or should I ask a question? Or
you ask a question and then I'll probably leave.
All right. So yeah, Norman had thrown out a thing here. Let's go to the soft core stuff. What did we think about the overall attire at the wedding, including the wedding dress? And I will start as a tailor because, man, I love everybody in the audience. I think Uhura really steals the show. I love just Ortegas' dress uniform. That's pretty awesome. Pretty much everybody in that gallery has some amazing stuff. But then when it comes to the wedding, yeah, I like the wedding, the dog's ribbon and attire better than I like that wedding dress. Oh my God, that's the most hideous wedding dress
Oyster
I've
shell
ever
and
seen.
Steins.
So
wow.
bad. But I will say I
That-
didn't super love this episode. I know there's a lot of love for it. I like the shenanigans. I like the Trelane Q kind of like fun stuff. I like that the boyfriend was kind of put in an awkward position. I thought that was kind of funny. But I don't know. I felt like it went on too long, and it was just so soap opera-y to me. It was like this couple and this couple and this couple and this couple. Oh, and back to this couple. However, all that being said, once we got to the wedding scene, I was like, okay, I forgive you. All the outfits, I was like, this was worth it. This was worth all the minutes just to get to this moment where they open in and you just see like these outfits and like La'an's dress strap thing and like, oh my gosh, like
dress was really cool. Most
Una's
interesting
thing,
thing
like,
about her.
the hair, the makeup, the clothes, I was here for it. I think the dress was very ugly, but everything else was so beautiful that, again, I'm okay. Like, I kind of wanted it to be more show-stoppy. It was show-stoppy, but not in a good way. But anyways, all that to say is, like, that last scene made me go, okay, I'm sitting through this whole episode for this. Worth it. Because we're probably never going to see everybody in these really cool non-Starfleet outfits ever again. So
I even like Corby's flower crown.
Oh, that was adorable. I loved that.
I think so. Go ahead. Apologies.
Oh, I just wanted to say Corby was who I was referring to earlier. I mean, they very specifically point out that he's an attractive person, like Spock does at a certain point. It just felt really forced and intense. Sorry, Gannon. Please go ahead.
I think maybe one of the biggest reasons I gave the first episode a 5.5, now that we're talking about costumes, is that I loved how they used the surgical hazmat garments from the TOS with the print of the circles that in gold. That is just, I love when they take the time to actually like go back to the past and bring those things to life in a modern feel. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I think I'm the odd one out because as hideous as the dress is supposed to be, I actually really love it because it looks like a hideous garment from the original series. Like, I think that like there's so many garments in the original series that are just kind of ugly but beautiful in their own 60s way. And I feel like that dress reminded me of that. And one criticism I have is I don't really remember if they did this or not, but they should have had a line where Pike said like, oh, just like, even though they've already done it in that one recreation of the original episode where it's like, oh, it's every captain's duty to like be wed people in holy matrimony. That would have been a nice touch to the wedding scene.
Oh, that would have been cute.
Norman has a good question. How do you guys feel about Ortega's brother and Uhura?
Did they just kind of forget that?
I thought it was cute.
I don't really have an opinion.
I think they're
mean,
going
it's
back to
fine.
him.
I think it's probably going to be like low stakes and we won't see much of it anyway, so I'm okay with it. I like Uhura getting a little romance here and there. That's fine.
I agree. I thought it was really sweet and cute. And I was more rooting for that than I was for Pike and girlfriend.
Oh, absolutely.
They actually had chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Give me 5 more episodes of that. I mean, minutes of that than the other stuff.
Yeah, I was like, wait, this guy, I've just met him right now, and I already like this more. Something about it was just cute. It was funny. It was young. It was just, I was here for it. I would love to see more of it. We don't need whole episodes. Don't go crazy with it. But we can like sprinkle it in, throughout, and just to see that develop, or just to see them flirting, or just to see it getting on Ortega's nerves. Like, I think that would be really fun, like lighthearted, soft love story to kind of sprinkle throughout the show. Mm-hmm. So I was here for that.
I think Star Trek always does a really good job of showing healthy ways to initiate a relationship. Like in the early episodes with Leslie asking advice from Riker, as corny as some of the flirting was. I just think that that's another good example of just like two attractive young people like just hitting it off immediately and having healthy flirting. And then there's the dynamic of like, oh, it's Ortega's brother, but this is the future where we're all a little bit more emotionally comfortable with each other. So it's a little bit weird, but it's cute, it's flirty. I like it a lot. It was good.
Yeah, it was sweet. Star Trek does wholesome masculinity really well.
Most of the time, yeah.
It also does like not wholesome masculinity, sometimes unintentionally and sometimes intentionally. But when it does wholesome well, it does it really well.
Sometimes you're made into a clone, and that clone becomes a terrorist who goes to jail for the rest of their lives. Sometimes shit just happens in this side of the galaxy.
The important thing is they were expressing themselves, as far as I'm concerned. You know, you have to express yourself. You know, get out your deepest desires, bring them to life, as far as I'm concerned.
Never go
within reason.
You're on a starship. They're going to bring your deepest desires alive every other week with some omnipotent
And
alien
sometimes
just
in
bringing them
song.
out.
Not to mention the holodeck.
Yeah.
Speaking of bringing tropes alive, something we had kind of talked about behind the scenes. It's been quite a while since we had the classic Star Trek trope of a higher being testing humanity. That used to be like every other week in TOS and at least twice a season in TNG, and you know it's been a minute, so it was actually kind of refreshing to come back to humans,
especially
just being
coming
messed
off
with.
the Gorn, right?
Yeah.
Which are the opposite of that.
It was nice
really
getting a
liked-
lighthearted episode after all.
I
that.
liked the classic filler episode here. Like Dell, I also made a lot of comparisons to Data's Day because, of course, it does invite the comparison with like the dancing scene with like Spock and La'an. That was really, really cute. And just the whole vibe being just a little bit more silly was nice after all of the drama and action of Hegemony 1 and 2. So I think, yeah, I really liked this episode. I think it was executed really well. And I do like, it's definitely fluff, and I do wish there was maybe a little bit more going on because it is a bit drawn out, but I don't know. I really like how Corby and Spock play off of each other. I thought that was pretty funny, actually. And the scene where Spock tries to get Sam Kirk to punch him is pretty good. The one thing that I think was kind of weird is like, you would think that on the Enterprise, if someone says, hey, we're in an alternate reality and this is happening because we're in an alternate reality, they would be like, oh yeah, that, sure. They would maybe listen and like
You'd be like, that track, let's
They're
stand for
in
Comic-Cons.
reality,
Well,
like
they were all under control.
it happens constantly. They get sucked through like time loops and like into alternate universes, like on the daily practically. And so for everyone to just be like, oh, Spock, you silly little guy, like I guess you could argue that like Q is suppressing them from figuring it out, but it's still just kind of like, I don't know, kind of weird. It would have been nice maybe if like another couple people believed him.
See,
No, but I buy that,
didn't
though.
get that until the end either, when John Delancey said to maybe Trelane, you need to release all these people, and you saw them all go like, "Whew,
Yeah,
what?"
that's true.
But
Yeah, I
I
believe
missed
it.
that my first watch.
I believe it that he was repressing that because every time, even when Spock or Corby tried to like mess with the system, he'd be like, play along. What are you doing? Stop it. Play along. So I think
But
he was
then it
mind
makes-
controlling everybody to be like,
Then why
silly
wasn't he
boy.
suppressing Spock though? Like that's kind of my thing. Because like if Spock could be woken up by it being told to him, you would think that would work on the others. Like maybe it's because Spock's a Vulcan. I don't know. It just
But
felt
it
like it
wasn't
could have
being
like
told to him. It was activating the emotion of love, right? It was that deep emotional thing that was the only thing strong enough to break the illusion. So they
Yeah,
couldn't pull out that. That's why he was messing with Kirk to try to get him to have like a strong emotion.
yeah, that's
So like
true.
I'll buy that they were all mind controlled, and that's why they thought nothing of it when someone said, "Hey guys, time change something." Like
Yeah.
I buy that was part of Trelane's actions and not like the crew in their right mind. Because of course they would have been like, "Let's do a scan. Here we go again." You know what I mean? Like maybe you're in the wrong timeline. Here we go again.
Yeah, I found that an awkward line when Corby's like, "I've already scanned myself for phase variance. It's not that." Like, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was
Go,
like,
Robbie. You've
I
been
feel like
trying
it
to
was
get in
harder
here.
for Data to come up with this technology in Time's Arrow, and Corby was just like, "Yeah, no, it's not time
Yeah.
thing."
Yeah.
You're like, "That's amazing."
All right, archaeologist, you go, guy.
I need to head out just a little bit earlier. This has been going on a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it's been a
Me
pleasure. I want
Give
to
us
give
an out
my
of 10.
final. Yeah, I think the best I can do for this is a 6. Honestly, I mean it doesn't quite get up into C territory for me. I think it's a little too light and fluffy, and it feels schizophrenic almost after the events of Hegemony. Like I don't like this whiplash of emotions. It drove me nuts watching this. Like I felt completely disassociated or something. Like this wasn't the episode that should be following what we saw And I think there were good moments. This is a great cast. This is the cast that this cast has better material than what the J.J. Abrams movies had, and they make the most of it, and they really give you some good moments, some good chemistry between everybody. Corby and Spock is fine, though. I really wanted something more out of Corby. I mean, he just feels kind of like a comedic foil more than anything. It's overall just a little bit frustrating for me, but with some very good highlights. It's been a pleasure talking to you all on Buffer Time. I'll try to see you next week, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Rock on, Robbie. Thank you. So, Ren, you had mentioned Spock and La'an a few minutes ago. Anybody shipping Spock and La'an?
A little bit, but I don't actually want to see it. Like, I do think they have chemistry, and I think they would be cute together, and I think their personalities are more similar than his and Chapel's, but still different enough. But I think now that La'an's more relaxed after the Gorn, she needs to have fun, and Spock is not exactly fun guy, especially right now. So I do kind of ship it, but I also I don't want to see Spock in a relationship again. Maybe for the rest of the series. I'm just tired of it.
I 1,000% agree. I don't want to see Spock in a relationship for the rest of the show for all 5 seasons. I think we've plumbed the depths of that particular storyline. I do think there's chemistry between them. What I would love to see is for Spock and La'an to become besties, like total besties, like sharing each other's secrets, like whatever the F Chapel and Spock were supposed to be before they hooked up. I would love to see that with Spock and La'an, because I feel like there's just a respect there, and I feel it's almost like Geordi and Data, where La'an is like, Spock, this is what this means. Yeah. Spock, this is what that means. And Spock is like, oh, I just think that would be really cute.
That used to be Chapel. Before she hurt him.
Sort of. It was like, I'm going to give you advice for how to patch things up with your fiance while secretly wanting to sleep with you at the same exact time and hoping to break up. Mixed motives.
I'll give you good advice, but I am rooting against you.
If La'an can't have Kirk, Spock's the next best thing. I mean, they're practically a single entity.
There's another Kirk available if she's really into that world.
Do we know the name of Sam's wife?
I think we do. I think she is named.
She was revealed in the TOS episode. I'm pretty sure.
I want to say her name's Amanda, but I might be very wrong.
Because Kirk literally talks to her over the view screen.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. That's not one of my favorite episodes. I mean, it's kind of dumb being just William Shatner and a mustache, and then you've got flying gack boogers as the big bad of the week, and it doesn't do anything for me.
The best part of that episode is when they flip over Sam and it's just Kirk in a mustache. It's the best part.
So I just want to ask one more question, then we'll do our out of 10s. What's the deal with Scotty being like, oh yeah, I hardly touched the stuff? Like one of the biggest drinkers we've ever seen in other Trek. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm like,
Maybe he's going to see something that drives him to drink.
That's what I was thinking.
The entirety of the rest of the show is going to drive him to drink.
Do a little Hamish Abernathy action.
To drink.
Or some trauma from the Gorn situation. Maybe he just never gets past that because goodness knows there's no counselors on the ship.
Well, and then 10 minutes later, he was drinking the Guinness. So, I mean.
Yeah, Josh, I just think he was under the influence of Q, when he made that first claim, stuff. And then when they were out of the influence, it's like, okay, let's head straight to the bar.
Trelane was going off the first time they met, and he's like, that guy's a drunkard, so I'm going to change him up a little bit. There you go. More canonical
that's a
reasons.
Good point. It could be Trelane.
I did like Pike poaching the bartender, but I feel like it was very random.
It was.
Yeah, it was kind of creepy too. Like Pike and Una roll up, and they're like, "What do you think?"
Yeah, it was very threesome.
Yeah,
hey,
it was so weird.
What are y'all asking her to do exactly?
My gal and I, we really like your 4 arms or your 3 arms over there.
Yeah, what can you do with those arms? It was just kind of that scene just was creepy, but I am glad that she's going to be a person on the show because she seemed nice. She had a big smile. I think they were trying to make her super likable in the different angles that they showed her of just shaking drinks and stuff. But yeah, it was a little creepy the way they approached her.
I have one more thing to talk about. I think the stuff with Ortegas might actually get interesting, and I'm curious to see where it goes with her whole Gorn seeing thing. And what I wonder is if she's going to go into some weird, I don't know, psychosis or something. And if Batel's Gorn altered DNA will somehow play a role in either like bringing her back to herself or like, I don't know, medically doing something. But like I'm hopeful that like from this we get something from Ortegas other than I fly the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Or she becomes close with La'an, right? And they both process the crazy things that they've been through together.
That would be cute. I feel like they have kind of a good rapport in the scenes we've seen them in, like, so far, but they never get to spend like much time together because we never get to see much of Ortegas.
I have a bad feeling though. We're gonna just do more Spock stuff for the rest of the like. I just have a feeling.
I like Spock, but I'm so tired of Spock.
I mean, we know there's at least one big Spock episode coming up.
Exactly, which makes me go like, it's not that I don't like Spock, but you only have 10 episodes, friends.
Yeah.
What's coming up? Is it the sequel to the Serene Squall?
Oh, not even that one. Just the one, the 4.5 Vulcans or whatever, where everyone turns into a Vulcan.
Gotcha.
4 Vulcans and a baby. Yeah, so before we do out of 10s, while we were talking about drinking, I'd be remiss if I didn't throw out that I highly agree with Trek Culture's big down of the week. I don't often agree with a lot of their big things, but about how like the Guinness is so wrong in this episode. It bothers me on so many levels. It's terrible. It's the worst looking Guinness I've ever seen.
In this episode are to you what the science mistakes in the last episode were for me. The science
mistakes in the last one are part of the reason I gave it less than a 5. They bother me. The ones in the first episode are just egregious. Anyway. Any more from this episode before we do out of 10s?
I had something, but I forgot.
Do I still have my notes up? Probably not.
Well, you can take. I'm gonna throw because Scott recorded a thing for this one too. Just to reiterate for anybody that wasn't here almost an hour ago, where we talked about Akiva Goldsman and how he said that this is not Q2, this is Trelane, and they are not the same thing, but they are confusing at best. So here's Scott with a theory that kind of doesn't hold up, but it was pretty great at the time.
Moving on to Wedding Bell Blues. So the first question I had with this episode was, why is this happening? Like, why is this godlike being, whatever he may be, it's never explained, but I have a theory on it, coming along just to mess with Spock's head. But once you get past that, it's actually not that bad. I enjoy Rhys Darby and whatever he does. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything I don't like him in. And in this one, he's all kind of prancing and a little malicious. It definitely works. I don't know if he's done in other places, but to be fair, I haven't seen Our Flag Means Death. And like the Quantum Leap style reflections thing where he's looks like something else to everyone else, but we don't confuse him for anyone. That's an interesting effect. The idea that, Corby's love for Chapel is so strong that it apparently overcomes godlike powers is pretty interesting. I really like the fashion at the wedding. All this future fashion is really cool. I've found myself kind of wishing I had Ortegas' dress uniform, which is weird. Chapel's dress looks like we're trying to make something for Loaxana, honestly. And it works. As to who Rhys Darby actually is, my theory is that he is in fact someone we've already seen, aka Cunir, as you may recall, Q's son from Q2. I don't think he's Trelane. I do honestly think that Trelane is just like another member of the Q family, another child of Q. Maybe another child with Susie Q, maybe some other Q, who knows? Maybe human. And then at the end, I really do like that they're finally broadening Ortegas' character beyond being able to fly a ship. If she's got PTSD from dealing with a Gorn, I want to see what they're going to do with it. Kind of makes sense because, like Boehm said, those old scientists, she's a war hero. You do, unfortunately, kind of expect soldiers to have PTSD. Overall, I would definitely rank it higher than Part 2 of Hegemony. For all of that, I would say like a point higher. Let's say instead of 6.5, make it a 7.5.
All right. So I also like this one better than Hegemony Part 2. Not by a lot, but where that one was just under a 5, this one's a little over. I'll give it a 5.75. I like it a fair amount. I I liked everything up until the ending. Up until we got Bad Guinness and found out that Q is something way more complicated than we already knew that he was. But yeah, I liked Reese Darby. I liked how fun this was coming off the super serious and action oriented Gordon stuff. So yeah, a 5.75 from me. Go ahead, Ren.
I think I also like this episode better than Hegemony Part 2, which I obviously liked. I would probably give this one an 8.5, honestly. I'm sorry. I like a filler episode. I am a sucker for a filler episode. I think it's where you get some of the most like fun and silly character interactions because they have time for it. On one hand, I almost do kind of think this episode maybe could have used a B plot because the A plot did feel a little stretched thin. But there were just so many great moments that I liked. I like that it puts the Spock and Chapel relationship like to bed, hopefully, for ideally the rest of the series. I'm so done with it. But I think it was fun, like seeing like Spock trying on his little different outfits for Chapel and being like all nervous. And that was cute. And I really liked Trelane. I am also still headcanoning that he's also Q2 because I like that explanation better. But Reese Darby's wonderful. He's so fun. I think one stumbling block is I guess I just don't get why he cares that much about their relationship. Like, why do you care? But I do think the like weird little like granting him a boon almost with like the drink as the mechanism was kind of fun. Like there were elements to it that kind of reminded me of Cupid. There were elements to it that reminded me of Tapestry. So many like little nods with like him waking up in bed with Trelane. I liked Corby. I thought he was fun. And I did actually find like the poem scene really moving at the end when he uses that to like jog Chapel's memory. I thought that was really sweet. And I like that it does give us like good guy Spock, which I always love to see. Like as soon as he finds out Chapel doesn't want to like is not marrying him of her own volition, he immediately is like, okay, we're going to do the only right thing here, which is stop this from happening because she deserves better than that. And I liked that. I think it's a good thing to have on TV, especially with everything going on in the world. Yeah, so overall, I thought it was fun. I think there was some like good little tidbits for next future episodes, like with Ortegas and stuff, and the bartender. But I liked that this one felt very self-contained and fun, and yeah, just lighthearted. So yeah, 8.5.
I am gonna give this one a 6. I liked it. Like, I thought it was cute. I thought it was fun. It was totally whipped cream, and I love whipped cream. So it was fun, and I just think I think probably the biggest points taken off was one, similar to Ren's point, it needed more B plot or something. And then 2, I just think the Spock Chapel thing, I'm just like over it. So, like I'm already over it. Like I've been over it. I was over it two breakups ago or whatever. I was over it in the musical. I was like, okay, great. They're done. Let's move along. But that's more of a me thing than like the writing was terrible. It's just like, I'm tired of hearing that. And then 3, I was also thinking about how much I love, I think it's Cupid, how much I love that episode in TNG when they all are like Robin Hooded back by Q, and it's so silly. And I'm like, why do I love that, but I don't love this? Like, it's the same thing. It's a whole silly episode that has nothing to do. And I was like, well, the reason why I love that is because it's the characters we know and love acting in totally different ways. I love seeing Worf being like, I am not a married man. I love seeing, I love seeing Vosh being so like conniving, which is not different from how Vosh is at all, but seeing her adapt that to this like scenario. I love seeing them like run into the bushes and shoot with arrows. And it's just like, these are characters I love being so not like themselves, which is not what we get in this episode, right? It's like, there's a wedding. And that's it. Like, every character is the same, pretty much the same character. Pike's still up there cooking a storm. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same characters, but planning a wedding, which I guess I find less interesting than if the characters were somehow either different people, like they behave totally differently, like a, body snatcher situation. Ooh. Or a Freaky Friday situation, or if it was a scenario where it's the same exact characters, but they were put into a world that's so dissimilar from their normal world that they're like, what the heck? Like, how do we work in this? And so I think that's why I love this one less, because it feels like the same characters doing a less interesting thing, like planning a wedding, which I guess apparently I don't find that engaging and fascinating. But I do love the Trelane character. Best part of the whole episode. Every time he comes on screen, you're just like, what's he gonna do now? And like the coat, please, yes,
Oh
can
my
I have
God.
one every day of the week? So yeah, I'll give it a 6.
Such a look.
So great.
Gannon.
I agree with Shereese. I'll give it a 6 as well, because as much as there are a lot of fun aspects of the episode, and again, Strange New Worlds in itself, it's really hard to get under a 5 for me. I think it is pretty much the best example of mixing what Star Trek we're used to this new 10-episode format that they insist on having. And yeah, again, I'll go to this with my grave. Corby is not from Fairhaven. He shouldn't sound like that. That's like the only part that really is like a nail in the side of my head, just bothering me. And then yeah, I'll give it a 6.
I think I'm probably right around the same about a 6 or so. Liked this, implications aside and like last few minutes aside, I think I liked this a little less than Hegemony, although I did like it better on my second watch. It, like several people have said today, actually, the middle portion was kind of threadbare as far as what they could have done. And I am so emotionally over the Spock and Chapel thing that I was feeling none of the emotions I think they wanted me to feel while we're going through this. I don't have real emotional investment in Corby at this point either, partially because he's new to the show, partially because I know where he's going to end up in TOS. You know,
I'm sure that'll work out fine.
yeah, everything's going to be good. Great. I did like some of the interactions with him, specifically that very Drax-like scene when Spock's like, can't remember the exact words, but like, listen, if one of us here is going to have the greater intellect, it's not going to be, I'm certain it's not you.
Josh, that reminds me, because like I wanted to say that too. After the last handful of episodes with Nurse and Chapel and Spock and their relationship, it's like you kind of deserve to get cheated on by androids in the future. At this point, that is an outcome that you're kind of you kind of deserve. I'm not even gonna argue.
Does anyone deserve that?
If anyone's gonna deserve it,
it's gonna be Nurse Chapel. Everybody go watch Superman, by the way, if you haven't. It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Are there androids in it?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
It'll actually have you feeling better like once you leave the theater than when you entered. That's how great of a movie it is. I'm shamelessly got to plug it right now.
I've heard nothing but good things.
All right, James Gunn will be sending you the check momentarily.
Thank you, James Gunn.
No, we're gonna bill him because we just advertised.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I'll send him the invoice, Dustin.
I wish Chapel
Bill's in the
had
mail.
more. Bill's in the mail. How much? Are we splitting it evenly or?
You just have to say nice things about Superman too.
Cool million each.
Valid.
I'm good with that.
Well, this comes out to like almost
I
the
said
same.
6, right? Yeah.
Yeah. With that, it comes out to almost the same average as the last one, just a smidge higher, which is what most of us said. Yeah, I mean they're serviceable. They're a little bit better than the middle of the road for most of us, so that's great. There was a question that I didn't really have time for, and I don't want to get into, but my final thought: Patel is not making it out of this season. Just because she's out of the Gorn for now, I think there are too many little bits of foreshadowing that look like Patel ain't gonna make it. And
Yeah.
we know just like Corby's got to end up with the androids, we know that Pike's got to end up with Vina, and he's not allowed to love and have a nice time.
Another thing, if she like survives, there would be an expectation of her to almost like continue the relationship even though Pike is disabled. Do you know what I mean? And it would probably create problems.
Yeah.
The problems would be interesting. And right now I'm just like, meh. Like if Ortega's little brother died in the next episode, I'd be heartbroken. And we've only met him.
Shit, I'd be so sad.
wow.
I'd be like, no, justice for Beto.
I'd be heartbroken. But if Patel bid it in the next one, I'd be like, well, you were on borrowed time. I don't think I
she's
feel
dying,
like,
but I don't think she's making it out.
Yeah,
For whatever it's worth.
I'm really lukewarm on Patel. So like I think you're probably right, Dustin. Honestly, like the little "oh, she's not out of the woods yet" comments do sound like something's gonna happen. Maybe
Do
she'll
you
somehow
feel like
sacrifice
you're on
herself
borrowed time?
to save Ortegas.
A swap, yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
two
That's a
episodes with no
sacrifice I'd
James
be on
Kirk.
board with. Like between the two of them, no contest.
Yeah, she can pull a Hemmer and go out in a blaze of glory. That'd be a super memorable ending. You'd be like, oh, that one lady whose
maybe
name I
she
can
will.
remember has such a memorable ending.
Battle, Borthole.
All right. Well, this has been the longest episode of Buffer Time we have ever done. I hope we never have to do another one this long. Not that I haven't appreciated all of you. I really do appreciate my co-hosts today. A lot of you came in and out, and it's been a heck of a chat. Hopefully, like our literal chat in the next week isn't quite as involved, but who knows? I mean, that's also a fun thing. But I would like to thank all of you for tuning in, and we'll be back with you next week, next Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Till then, live